John Paul DeJoria, From Homeless to Billionaire. Pain is my fuel. In the echoing streets of post-war Los Angeles, under flickering lights and cracked sidewalks, a boy named John Paul DeJoria entered the world on April 13, 1944. Born to a Greek-Italian mother and an Italian father, he grew up watching his parents battle poverty and broken dreams. When John Paul was only 2 years old, his parents divorced. His mother, now alone, scrubbed floors, waited tables, and brought home leftovers from the diner. Anything to feed her 2 sons. They lived in a cramped Echo Park apartment where the rent was late, and the nights felt endless. But even in hardship, young John Paul learned a lesson that shaped his life. Love and struggle can exist under the same roof. By age 9, he was already hustling, selling Christmas cards door to door to help his mother pay the bills. Each cold California morning, he'd whisper to himself, "One day, I'll make things better." But as he grew older, the streets called to him. He briefly joined a local gang, the Echo Park Locos, seeking belonging in a world that had given him none. One teacher changed his path forever, telling him, "You're going to do something great one day." When his mother could no longer afford to raise both sons, John Paul was sent to a foster home in Atascadero, where he worked on a dairy farm, milking cows, cleaning stalls, and learning discipline through labor. The loneliness carved a deep hunger in him, but also resilience. In 1962, he joined the U.S. Navy, serving aboard the USS Hornet during the Vietnam era. Even there, he found opportunity, selling insurance to sailors, and learning the value of persistence. After leaving the Navy in 1964, he returned home determined to build a life. He married, had a son, and dreamed of stability. But by age 22, the marriage collapsed. Broke and jobless, John Paul found himself homeless, living in a beat-up 1959 Rolls-Royce with his toddler. He collected empty Coke bottles from trash bins, cashing them for 5 cents each to buy food. I ate at the Salvation Army. I slept in my car. Those were dark days. But those nights of hunger became his motivation. He promised himself that failure would never define him, only fuel him. He worked any job he could find. Janitor, gas station attendant, door-to-door salesman, each rejection hardening his resolve. Then came his chance. In 1980, with $700 borrowed from his mother, John Paul teamed up with hairstylist Paul Mitchell. They had no office, no investors, just a garage, a dream, and relentless drive. They mixed shampoo by hand, bottled it themselves, and sold it salon to salon from John Paul's car trunk. Most people slammed the door in their faces, but a few listened, and that was enough. Their company, John Paul Mitchell Systems, survived near bankruptcy, with John Paul living briefly on 3-a-day meals of rice and beans. But they pushed forward, pioneering cruelty-free and eco-friendly products long before it became trendy. Stylists started talking. Then the industry listened. Within a decade, annual sales surpassed $100 million. And today, Paul Mitchell products are in over 150,000 salons worldwide, generating over $1 billion every year. From car trunks to corporate towers, John Paul DeJoria built an empire from faith and grit. But success wasn't his destination. It was a platform. In 1989, he co-founded Patrón Tequila with his friend Martin Crowley, starting from a small Mexican distillery. Critics laughed at the idea of luxury tequila, but through smart marketing and belief, Patron became the #1 premium tequila brand in the world. When Bacardi bought it for $5.1 billion in 2018, the laughter stopped. Now, at 81 years old and worth $2.8 billion, John Paul uses his wealth to give back. Through his JP's Peace, Love, and Happiness Foundation, he has fed millions through Food for Africa, built homes for the homeless, and championed environmental causes because he knows what it feels like to be hungry. He knows the sound of loneliness, and he knows that success means nothing if it isn't shared. Success unshared, he says, is failure. So never let where you start decide where you finish. Pain isn't the end of your story. Every rejection, every hardship, every dark night is preparing you for the light ahead. It's the fuel that drives it forward.